1790. Nevertheless, even anti-populist writings like this had to make an argument for a liberal conception of government and advocate gradual constitutional reform as a substitute for revolution. The fact that this rethinking of citizenship came on the heels of a long fight against another revolution, this one culturally closer to home, the American Revolution of 1775 to 83, could only have made it more profound. From the 18th through the early 19th centuries, numerous unsuccessful attempts had been made by the Whigs to revise the voting rules for electing members of the House of Commons. The proposed reforms were intended to expand the franchise and shift voting power to urban centers, which had grown dramatically as a consequence of the Industrial Revolution and increased commerce. By 1832, reform could be resisted no longer. Violent demonstrations took place. Governments were formed, failed, and reformed. Even King William IV interceded by threatening to create 80 new peerages, appointments to the House of Lords, that would be awarded to supporters of electoral reform. The Representation of the People Act of 1832, commonly known as the Reform Act or the Great Reform Act, increased the parliamentary representation of the burgeoning industrial cities at the expense of locations with minuscule populations, the so-called rotten boroughs. It increased the number of eligible voters from about 400,000 to about 650,000, approximately 1/6 of the adult male population, by relaxing the property ownership requirement for voting. By the standards of the 21st century, such a broadening of the electorate does not look terribly consequential. But by the standards of the early 19th century, the Great Reform was tremendously important. Another challenge facing the British state after the defeat of Napoleon was how to reconfigure the relationship between the